Hello, everybody. Welcome to another great episode of Wesam's World. Before we start the show, as always, make sure you subscribe to us on YouTube where you can watch the show every Friday morning. And also, we're on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. So leave us a 5-star review. You know why? It helps us get advertisers so we can get more money to give to you in giveaways, specifically in the Make Wesam Laugh Challenge that we haven't done in a while.
It's been a hot minute. Where are they, Wesam?
Well, Peyton, we haven't got enough subscribers, so that's why we haven't done it yet.
Oh.
So tell your friends, share with your family, grab your aunt and tell her, hey, subscribe to this. Grab your grandma, hey, subscribe to this. Oh, I don't know how to do this, Wesam. We'll find out a way to do it, Grandma. Find out a way. That's too rude. And if you talk to your grandma like that, you're not a good person. And we don't want you on the show. So now we're back to not having subscribers. You see the dilemma I'm in, ladies and gentlemen?
You block too many people.
That's not true.
That's not true?
Maybe.
When's the last time you blocked somebody?
I almost blocked somebody yesterday, but didn't.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I saw their profile and like, oh, this is a pathetic person. I feel sorry for them.
Somebody you know or like you did? Oh, then you don't need to block them. You're never going to see them again.
Yeah, but it's fun.
Oh, okay.
It's fun. Hit that block button. It's a little bit of power surge, you know. A little Emperor Wesam coming out.
Is it an addiction?
No, because it benefits me and everyone else. So an addiction kind of, implies something negative.
Who does it benefit?
The world.
Oh.
Hey, we have an awesome show today. We have a great guest. He is I want to say a famous TikToker from his awesome videos where I found him. And his name is Paharikawa. And super excited. Such a great voice. Very intelligent guy. We had a great conversation. But before we get into that, I want to talk about two things with you.
Oh.
First of all, congratulations to the greatest UFC fighter of all time, Khabib Nurmagomedov.
I loved him so much.
You didn't watch it. You don't disrespect Khabib. He's 29-0. He had a great run. He retired. He beat Justin Gaethje so well. And his father passed away from COVID recently, so this one was for his dad. And he is retired for now. I just found out he did the fight with a broken foot.
Wow.
He fought a top-level fighter with 2 broken toes, apparently, and a broken bone in his foot. I didn't tell anybody.
Did he kick with that foot?
No, but he choked him out with his leg. So imagine the mental strength and discipline of that guy. Mm-hmm. It's hard to imagine that, right?
Well, no, right now I'm imagining because I don't know how, like in UFC, you choke somebody out with your leg. But what I'm imagining is just like you got to hold on to your foot. And I'm imagining choking somebody out and having to pull on my broken foot.
You want me to show you right now?
Choking a guy. You're going to break your foot and then show me how it feels? Or you're going to break my foot and show me how it feels?
Dude, how terrifying would it be if I just snapped my foot in half and you're like, oh, shit, he's serious.
You don't react at all. You're just, okay. Now come here. No.
Oh, what is this? What is going on? My wife will never believe me. I don't know why you sound like that.
I sound like a Muppet.
She's never gonna believe me. Whew. Second thing I want to talk about is I am a fan of Joe Rogan. I got into podcasting partly because of what Joe Rogan used to do on his show, and one of the reasons I loved tuning into his show was he would call people out on their BS.
Right.
And he just had one of my least favorite people on this planet on. His name is Kanye West.
Never heard of him.
That's fine. Don't need to. And immediately when the interview started, I was like, oh, this is a person who's mentally unstable. Specifically talking about Kanye West. Why are you giving him this platform? Why are you not calling him out on his BS? The whole time, Joe Rogan's like, I think he's like a genius, He just has a lot of ideas coming in all at once. And I'm like, Oh, yeah? I would bet all my money. That if the things Kanye West said on the Joe Rogan Experience recently, if a crazy person in a mental hospital said them, you'd be like, oh, that person should stay in the mental hospital because they're crazy. Now, just because Kanye West said them, oh, he's a genius, get out of here. Get out of here. Call people out on their craziness. He should have been like, no. That's crazy talk, man. You don't deserve to be president because, A, I just asked you what things you would change, and you went on a rant that, hey, on our show, you know how we sometimes branch off on different topics? And every now and then we don't go back to what we wanted to talk about?
All the time.
All the time.
All the time.
Imagine that, but 100 times over, and you get to a point where literally you can start the interview at any point, and you would be just as lost as if you started it from the beginning.
How long was the interview?
3 hours.
Oof.
Get out of here. Call him out on his bullshit. Dude, if you like Kanye West, don't listen to this show. I'm being dead serious. If you think if you like his music, that's different.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Okay, I get that. You like his music? Fine. But if you think he deserves to be president of the United States, don't listen to this show. In fact, do not listen to anything I have to say because you are a crazy person like him. Now, I got really emotional with that. Here's the main problem with him. He'll say one thing that is truth, like some, like a part of something that's like, oh yeah, okay, that makes sense. And then he'll say something crazy. And then he'll say something truthful, and then something crazy, and something truthful and crazy. And then at a certain point, you're like, oh, this guy doesn't distinguish between what's real and what's real in his head.
Right.
He's a billionaire. You know what he said? You know what he's preaching on there? Money doesn't matter. And then he's talking about how he likes to get more money.
Where are you off to?
Bye.
Oh, okay.
Bye.
Thank you guys so much for listening to Peyton's World. Next week, Kanye West will be on the show.
Dude, he would never come on this show, first of all, because I would call him out on everything he's ever done.
No, he's not. He's coming on Peyton's World.
Peyton, I know you're doing a bit. I'm running hot. I'm at a 9 right now.
Can you actually imagine if I went and create a podcast called Peyton's World and I just never brought it up to you? I just used the same space, everything, and then I just ask you to come on. It's like your theme music, but like played in reverse or something.
You want to know? You want to know my reaction to that?
What would you do?
I like you so much that I'd be like, "Good luck, man."
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I wouldn't have a problem with it. I'd actually be like, "Okay, cool, whatever."
Oh, see, I'd criticize the hell out of me in that situation.
You would wait.
I deliberately, like, let's say, like, okay, I'm Wesam now. You're Peyton, okay? Hey, this is fucking stupid, man.
Wait, I'm so confused right now. Who's who?
You're me. You're me.
I'm you. I just created.
I'm you, and you just created Peyton's World, deliberately ripping off Wesam's World.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yes.
You say you did it in a malicious way.
I did it in a malicious way.
You know what? I'd be like, best of luck to you, man.
Oh, so it'd still be best. Okay.
Yeah, I don't have time for that.
Oh, okay.
I'd be like, hey, man, best
Could
of
I
luck
still
to you.
work on your show?
Yeah, at a certain point, I'd get somebody new, though. If it was like you kept bashing me on Peyton's World, I'd be like, hey, man, you know that's weird, right?
Mm-mm.
All right, man. Well, if you don't know that's weird, it's totally fine, but I'm getting somebody else.
Mm-mm.
Okay.
I just keep...
Jesus Christ. Yeah, so it's been a week, man.
Oh,
Yeah,
man.
On a brighter note, I got my couch in, which I'm happy about.
Yes! Is it nice?
It's really nice.
Easy to assemble?
Somewhat.
Okay.
Yeah, but it has a lifetime warranty on it, so I don't have to worry about getting a couch anymore.
Wow.
Which, no, I don't know of any couches that have lifetime warranties.
That's interesting.
Yeah, what's cool is that you can change the covers on it. So if I move somewhere, I don't have to get a whole new couch. I can just change it into a different color.
I hope you're like 90 and the couch finally breaks and you still have that lifetime warranty and you like call them up and they're like, we don't even manufacture that couch anymore, and you still like demand a new one.
Yeah.
You're like, well, bring me a new one.
Yeah. I hope I don't sound like that when I'm 90. But
I'm Wesam.
We're losing listeners as you speak, and it's okay. We're gonna learn from our mistakes.
We lost 10 subscribers just from that bit.
Oh, I thought you were being for real right now. I was like, hey man, don't say that shit on the air, okay?
And
Hey,
there
man, what
go
are you
another 5 more. And another one.
Another one. Hey, have we done enough time?
Yes.
We have? Okay.
Yes.
Everything going well with you?
Yeah. I had a killer week.
Great.
Yeah. Got to do so many spooky things this week.
Yeah, can we talk about you went to the spooky mansion? Because this is the Halloween episode. So I think
That's true. This is the Halloween episode, so I can share everything.
Please,
about that.
I would love that.
I went to the Winchester Mystery House. If you don't know what the Winchester Mystery House is a house that was built by the late Sarah Winchester, who was the wife. I forgot the husband's name, but the husband manufactured the Winchester repeater.
Craig.
Craig. That's it, Craig. So Craig sadly passed away, and Sarah Winchester started having like visions, and that all of the victims of the Winchester repeater were going to haunt her. And the only way she could calm the spirits and not suffer the same fate as them was to keep building her farmhouse, multiple rooms for all of the victims, and she could not stop building till the day she died. So, I forgot if it was like 20 or 30 years, she kept building this house, just kept it expanding, adding rooms, adding doors that literally lead to outside. You walk out and boom, you're face plant the pavement, all right? You fall out of the house. There are staircases that lead to nothing. It's insane. The corridors are so tight.
Yeah.
The hallways were measured so that she could perfectly walk through them. So I'm having to duck because she was like a 5-foot something lady and I'm 6'3" monster. And I'm having to crouch through this house. And it's insane. And it's believed to be haunted. And we talked to several of the employees that work there. And all of them have had like little encounters, like whether it's like tugging on their clothes or on their hair or actually seeing like a shadow figure. It's insane. I love it.
Did anything happen?
No, not for us. We went at nighttime. They did a little flashlight tour. We stayed in like the rooms where they said like activity has happened. Like there's literally a room called the seance room. She had seances in those rooms. So of course it's haunted. Shadow figures are very common there. But no, we didn't see anything. Not us personally.
Yeah.
But yeah, lots of spooky shit happens there.
Yeah, I've been there before.
Oh, you have been there before?
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I did the double tour.
Nice.
And it was great. It was very interesting. It's smaller than I imagined. Very small. I didn't think it was going to be that big.
Yeah.
Or I thought it was going to be much bigger than it was. I was like, oh, this is not big. Because in the photos, they make it look like it's an estate.
Right. And I don't know how it was for your tour, but we weren't allowed in like a good chunk of the house. Like, I think we only saw like 40% of the house.
You go in the basement?
No, the basement was off limits.
See, we went into the basement, and I think at that time there wasn't any COVID, so that's probably why.
Right, and also this was a self-guided tour. Like, we didn't have a tour guide or anything. We went at our own thing, so they had a path that we had to follow. So, because they can't have people just, wander in the house, because then, somebody's going to open that door that leads straight outside and fucking...
Yeah, we had a tour guide, two tour guides, excuse me. It's hard to say.
Did anything happen for you?
No, man.
No, that's okay.
No, I would spend the night there by myself.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to see ghosts.
Sounds like a blast.
And speaking of spooky things, by the time this episode airs, we have 2 episodes of Wesam Plays Scary Games out on the internet now. Raise the roof. One of them's with Peyton, Phasmophobia, and Layers of Fear. They were great.
Yeah?
Dude, I screamed so much in Layers of Fear.
Yeah.
So much. And our Phasmophobia video, holy guacamole.
It's a classic.
Classic.
That's instantly a classic.
Classic Peyton, classic Wesam.
That's it.
That's it. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give a warm welcome to Mr. Awesome Voice on TikTok.
Yeah.
So, enjoy the show. All right, let's make some memories.
How we going?
Dude, thanks again for doing this. I really appreciate it, man.
No worries, man. I'm super excited.
Yeah. So just for our listeners, I think it's awesome that your username is Paharikawa, Raven of the Mountain, correct?
Yes, correct.
And you're originally from Pakistan, but you live in Australia, correct?
So I was actually born and raised in Australia, but I regularly go back. I've got a lot of family back there.
Yeah, I've seen some of your videos on, I believe, Instagram or TikTok, where you've gone back and seen your family and kind of been there, and that's really cool,
Absolutely,
man, that
yeah,
you still connect with them like that.
for sure. I think it's really important to keep a connection with people back home.
Absolutely. Do you feel a strong um, pull to know where you come from, where your family comes from?
Absolutely. It's more to do with my personal interest, I think. I'm really into history, as you probably have seen. Most of my videos based around. So yeah, going back is super awesome, especially getting to see like on the ancient sites and etc.
Yeah. I remember coming across your videos for the first time, and the first thing that struck me, you have an awesome voice. I think you should do more voiceover work.
Thank you.
Yeah, man, you definitely have a huge career in that if you ever want to go for that. And also, I would believe anything you said. If you told me, hey, I think your name is Sean, I'd be like, you know what? I think it is. I think it is. No, man,
Yeah,
yeah, it's super unique. It's awesome.
thank you so much. Voice acting is something I really do want to get into. I've done a bit of acting before. However, it just wasn't really my thing, I guess.
Yeah, that's fair. But you're into anime as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, you got to tell me
Anime
what are
is
some of
amazing.
your. Well, you got to tell me some of your favorite anime shows.
Look, I stick to whatever's mainstream, to be honest, unfortunately. But I watch One Piece for now. That's all I'm currently watching, and I've watched a ton of that. Have you watched anything yourself?
Yeah, Cowboy Bebop is my
Of
favorite.
course, classic. Yeah.
You can't beat that, in my opinion. And then Dragon Ball Z, I grew up on. So,
Ah, right. Of course.
um,
I think we all
s-
grew up on Dragon Ball Z. It
you
was one of
know,
those things that were on every morning, eh? Yeah.
for me, it was right after school, so I would literally run home from the bus
Ah,
stop.
right, right.
Yeah,
Over
yeah, yeah.
here, I remember waking up early just to watch it. It was more of a morning thing here in Australia.
Oh, that's super cool. That's super cool. Have you heard of Samurai Champloo? Samurai Shampoo? Shampoo?
I've heard of it, but it hasn't really aired here. So
Ah,
growing up, it wasn't one of those things I got to watch. But I've heard a lot of Americans talk about it. You're from LA, right?
yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Oh, right. Is anime a big thing there? It's a big part of LA culture, pop culture.
You know, there's a place in Little Tokyo where it's huge.
Oh,
And
for
they
real?
have like mini conventions there. They have the shops. It's a whole, like, yeah, underground subculture. And I love that kind of stuff, man. I really do.
Oh, that's awesome, man. I
Yeah.
hope to visit one day.
Oh, dude, if you ever do, let me know. I'll definitely show you
For sure,
around
for
all
sure.
the cool spots. Um,
I've been to California once before. Just I didn't get to go to LA,
okay.
unfortunately. But
Gotcha.
yeah, hopefully next time.
Yeah. So what do you, you're studying right now in Australia?
Yeah, currently studying. Hope to graduate soon. If this semester goes well. But yeah,
Yeah.
that's the plan.
What are you studying?
Right now, politics and history.
Oh, great. Great. What do you want to
Yeah.
do with that after you graduate?
Um, at this point, I'm just gonna go straight into my master's, but it'll be something along the lines of government or diplomacy type jobs.
Oh, man.
Hopefully, that's
Yeah.
the plan. That's the plan.
Well, we definitely need some good, decent people in the government nowadays. I don't know much about Australian government, but I could tell you over here it's a little bit of a mess.
Yeah. Look, Australian government isn't as entertaining, but yeah, it does all right.
Man. Um, no, one of the reasons why I'm so glad we're doing this episode, it's going to air right before our Halloween over here. And I feel like a
Mm.
total idiot in saying this. I don't think other countries celebrate Halloween, but I've seen it before
Um,
in London and England. Do you guys do Halloween?
Look, Halloween is more of a like around Halloween, the movies start coming on. The TV shows get that Halloween theme, but I barely see people trick or treating, at least in my city. It's not the level of culture that I'm guessing America has. I think it's a big thing over there, right?
Yeah. Well, not this year. They're trying to kind of keep it all
Not
down
this year,
because
of
of COVID.
course. Yeah,
But usually it's a huge, huge thing over here.
yeah.
Even when I used to serve tables the waiters and stuff like that, they try to get Halloween off because there's like these huge parties here in LA
Wow.
where they close down entire streets in West Hollywood, and people sometimes spend thousands of dollars on making their elaborate costumes, which,
Wow.
yeah, I don't think it's that big over there.
That's insane. Yeah, absolutely not. I wish it was. I wish it was. It'd be awesome to experience something like that.
Yeah, I think experiencing once is fine, and then after that, I don't think I could maintain that lifestyle. Just on a personal note, but
Look,
you have
understandable.
yeah, you have a podcast out right now though, right?
I do, but I've only been able to create one episode so far due to other commitments. But I will get back to it.
Yeah, man, I definitely think you should. I've listened to a couple of the episodes right now, and it's great, man. I think it's very interesting. It's very engaging. And one of the reasons I wanted to bring you on here is one of my favorite videos you do on TikTok is the demons and the mythical creature stuff that you've just been
Right.
doing
Yeah,
recently.
of
And I've
course.
always been interested in that kind of stuff. And as I've gotten older, I'm more interested in, okay, how do these ideas get developed? Because we weren't
Mm.
around when these things were written. I kind of have theories of how people imagine mythical creatures. They just kind of exaggerate the story. I'll try to give you an example.
Yeah,
Sa-
absolutely.
sailors, for instance, if they
Mm.
saw a shark and they grew up without any education or anything, and they see this great white shark come out of the ocean with its teeth and everything, of
Mm.
course they're going to think it's like a mythical monster of sorts.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So inherently in human nature, we tend to exaggerate things as storytellers, and as time goes on, our memory kind of isn't the best. So I have like explanation for some things, for some like stories for that, but like other things, I'm like, where did they come up with this?
Yeah.
Do you have any ideas on that by chance?
The example you just gave me, that's very similar to how the mermaid came to be. I don't know if you know about that one. The sailors would see the dugongs. You know about the dugongs, like sea
No.
cows? Sea cows. So they'd see the dugongs swimming underneath them, and then somehow they'd visualize them as half women, half fish type creatures. And then the story of mermaids spread across Europe. Very interesting. So I
Wow.
think when these stories, even these mythical creatures are created, I think oftentimes it's just like you said, it's when people see things for the first time and don't really have an idea what's going on. I think they start to use their own imagination and spread their own tales, and over time it just builds up. I think that's a big part of religious stories as well.
Mm, and that's actually, I don't want to say it's controversial for some people to hear that, and it's hard for me to wrap my mind around certain things. And yeah, the angels and the demons, there is this like theory I have. They're all one and the same, but they've just been viewed at from different perspectives, and so that's why a lot of
Yeah.
these things have different names. And yeah, we have you ever read about the Hindu epic, the Maharabata? Oh my gosh, I'm forgetting the name.
Maharabata. Maharabata, yeah. I haven't read it throughout myself, but I have read, uh, I guess, research on it. The work of other people after they've read it. I haven't read the text straight in the source myself, though.
Yeah, that they talk about in certain things, spaceships throwing out fire and these epic battles, and I'm like,
Yeah, it's
whoa.
insane things.
Did they actually see this, or is this someone with the most insane imagination during a time where no like mechanical things existed?
You see, the thing is, a lot of these stories, especially in something like Hinduism, rather than working as an account of history, it's more so a metaphor to describe something, a theme within the story that they want to pass on. And over time, these figures, these creatures are imagined to form part of that tale,
Mm.
if you get what I'm saying.
Can you elaborate a little bit more? Like, is it just them making the story better than it is, just to keep the themes going?
It's one of those things that sort of builds over time. So it's hard to explain. Basically, you'll have an idea that they want to push forward, and over time, when that story is passed down from generation to generation, what it's been like thousands of years now, um, each generation sort of adds to it, I guess, and
Mm.
over time it develops more and more. So yeah, Hinduism itself has a variety of awesome stories, awesome mythical creatures. I made a few videos about them, and it's so interesting, and the themes that they push forward are awesome.
Yeah. You know, the thing though that's unique about the Hindu epic, the Maharatabada. Oh my God, I messed that up again. People are like, "Come on, say it right." It's they have the original text that they translated from thousands of
Mm,
years ago.
yeah.
So I think those were not passed down, or was,
Oh, right, of course.
or
But the thing is,
see,
even at that point, when those texts were created, that's the point where they've been documented. But to reach that point, it's like generations and generations of storytelling, like verbally being passed down.
that's so
Same with
true.
the original Vedic source, the Vedic text of Hinduism, the core sources. It said that it's a belief that the Aryans that migrated verbally used to tell these tales, and then once settling in the subcontinent, it became documented or written down. However, that is still just a theory. But yeah, that's something very interesting to think about.
Very interesting. Um, Islam has some great. I don't want to like mythical creatures, and for instance, the jinn. You know, whenever I
Yeah,
heard about that,
absolutely.
and I was like, oh, genie, and then jinn, and the differences and how they've made it this like fun-loving character. When in a lot of the stories of
Mm,
jinn, it's not inherently evil. There are some good jinn apparently, but it's actually the first story I heard of jinn. It was like this evil uh, spirit, if you will, that lives in our
yeah,
plane
absolutely.
and another plane. So interesting, man. Very, very interesting
Mm,
where these stories manifested from. I'm always wondering too if it came because around Islam, when the Prophet Muhammad, he kind of was cleansing the Kaaba from all like the idols and stuff like
I
that.
lose you.
If maybe some of those that jinn story kind of like slipped in from another um, religion or something. I don't know. I'm just theorizing
Mm,
this because it seems a little out of place to me, but
mm.
that's just my opinion.
I guess because Islam is an Abrahamic faith, I think there is needed to be an entity that would, I guess, be equivalent to the demons or whatnot, the demonic creatures of Christianity and what is also presented, the Sheddim of Judaism. Um, but the thing is, the tales of the jinn actually originated from pre-Islamic, the pagan religions of pre-Islamic Arabia. So they were present in Arabia for thousands of years prior
Oh,
to Islam, which is pretty cool.
that's awesome. Where do you? I'm assuming you just read a lot of history books, and this is where you get your knowledge from.
As I said earlier, I do study history at university, partially, not as much. And when I do history, it's often I pick elective courses about whatever I have interest in. It's usually about either South Asia or perhaps Central or the Middle East.
Right.
So yes, that's a lot of that sort of works as giving me a base area of knowledge, and then
Yeah.
from that, I just spend my own time just looking into things, asking myself what I want to know, and when I look for answers for that one question, by the time I reach it, I'll find 10 other answers to questions I haven't asked yet.
Yeah. I wish my history teachers were a little bit more engaging growing up
Absolutely, man.
because it's
It's
so
important.
important. Ah, yeah. It is important,
Yeah,
man. And I think not censoring history is important as well.
absolutely. That's very difficult because I guess where you're at, wherever country you're at, to legitimize your state, to legitimize your history, it's often you have to give a very biased account of why you're here, why you have the right to be here, and then over time, history gets washed away.
Yeah. Do you guys have problem with that in Australia at all?
Absolutely,
Really?
absolutely.
Man.
Growing up, because we have a bad history with the indigenous community in
Mm.
Australia, genocide. Um, uh, Obviously, very similar to the history with indigenous people in America.
Right.
So the indigenous people of Australia were kept as slaves, and they weren't recognized as human beings until the 1960s. So
What?
they were recognized as fauna. So I think close to apes, something like that. It was wild. Yeah, that's only 40 years ago, 50 or so years ago.
Oh my gosh. And
Yeah.
have things improved hopefully since then?
Um. Yeah. Look. Now, obviously, in the era that we're at now, things are improving. Um. The life of many of the indigenous communities have improved, but many things are still not amazing. I think there was a restrictions of the indigenous community up until like 2006 or something like that, where they couldn't do certain things that the rest of Australians could do,
Yeah.
which was crazy.
Wow. Man, I'm hoping that with time and especially with what's happened because of COVID, certain things have kind of reached a tipping point, especially here in America. I can't speak for the rest of the world, but
Mm,
in terms of ethnic groups and ethnic minorities being treated, people are just sick of it, man. I just don't understand. Why somebody would do that to another human being. You know, I grew up in a
mm,
very strict household, but it's at the same time we never like it was conservative, but we never held any of these like hatred or racist beliefs or anything like that.
yeah,
You know what I mean? And so
mm,
it's so surprising and hurtful to me when I hear these stories, not just in this country but other countries. Like it just happens. It's this ongoing thing with time and history, and I'm just hoping this new era something will change for the better and be a permanent change.
absolutely, man. I mean, I certainly hope so as well. Sorry, what is your background?
I'm from Syria originally. I was born there.
Syria. Awesome,
Yeah.
man. So, what
Yeah.
sort of mythologies and I guess stories do they have in Syria? Were there any that you were passed down?
Yeah, my grandma. I'm really excited to tell this one because I've never told it on air. So growing up, we loved telling like ghost stories, your typical ghost
Mm,
stories, and then
of course.
there was one called Khamis, and
Khamis.
Khamis, yeah, and this was the equivalent of a Bigfoot slash Cyclops in the area.
Wow.
That this story was from pre 1900 that got passed down. And
Mm,
Syria used to be very different back then. Thick, thick woods, very heavily wooded areas, especially in the mountain ranges that cross into Lebanon, Syria, and Israel, and
right.
parts of Jordan. So the story goes like this. There is this the women used to wake up right before the dawn and get the clothes they needed to wash, so they would wash them in the river, and then they would carry their little candles or their lamps with them to
Mm,
light so they could find the way. So one day, this woman, she what she thought was right before the dawn, because the moon was so it was like a full moon. It was so bright. She was like, "Oh, I have to go to the river and wash the clothes. It's almost sunrise." And when she gets there, she realizes, "Oh no, like this is the middle of the night." She's like washing, and then this creature comes in and picks her up and takes her.
oh
And
God.
she's fighting with this creature, this Bigfoot
Yeah.
creature. And
Yeah.
luckily she had her lamp, the like the with the fire and the oil, and she smashes it on him. And he
Wow.
bursts into flames and he runs into the countryside, and the countryside gets, they said, like there becomes a wildfire because of
I
the
caught on fire. Yeah.
yeah. So that's the story they call of Khamis, and they used to tell the kids like, "You better do what you say, or Khamis is gonna get you." You know that typical thing.
Of
So yeah,
course.
that's our one of our like mythical creature stories.
Isn't that interesting that even within our region and probably across the world, we all have this character that resembles what we consider the Bigfoot. It's interesting, right? Now, across the Himalayas, from Pakistan to Nepal to Tibet, you probably heard of the Yeti.
Yes.
The Yeti, right? In Pakistan, in the northern, very north, where the Himalayas end, we have our own story of the Yeti, but we call it Barmanu. Exactly the same thing. It was so widely told that the British actually started to search for it throughout the 1800s. No luck, unfortunately. But what interests me about this story is that the position, the geographic location of where it's told. You see, because the Yeti story and the Barmanu story is told across the Himalayas, um, from what I've read, there could be some truth to it, surprisingly, at least in the past. You see, the biggest ape species ever that we've documented from fossils, the biggest ape species, which is much bigger than a human, um, was in southern China. That's where it was found, in southern China.
Oh,
Now, where is southern China? Bordering the Himalayas. Right.
wow.
That's
Yes.
quite interesting. So perhaps these stories are not necessarily recent stories, but stories told over generations and generations ago. Who knows?
Absolutely. And I love the show Finding Bigfoot, not because I know they're going to find Bigfoot, because they haven't. Um, but there is one episode in particular that really makes me question things. And it's these paintings that are old, just these old indigenous paintings. And they draw what looks like a Bigfoot. And these
Hmm.
stories pass down from generation, like you
Wow.
said, generation, and it's the same story. This big, human-like, hairy creature, and
Wow.
some of them describe these. I know I'm gonna sound crazy to certain people. Are you into any esoteric knowledge or any of that stuff?
Look, I'm happy to hear it. I'm just
I feel like you're just gonna be like, okay, whatever. No, okay. So it sounds a little crazy, but what would be considered magic or anything like that. Some esoteric fields of knowledge delve into that. You read some of the stuff by Manly P. Hall, and you have like white magic and black magic. I'm not
Hmm.
too interested in going that far down, but there are like these symbols that get created with the angels and stuff. You can make little like protection stuff. Anyway, that's not what I'm too into with this example. My primary thing is I think that this Bigfoot creature might be something to the akin of a spiritual magical creature that kind of exists in both worlds, like the jinn. That actually
Right.
makes a little bit more sense to me from
That would, that would.
all the different stories I've been told, because in the Himalayas, there's some monks that see it as this magical creature rather than this like physical being, and I'm like, oh, that's
Yeah.
so interesting, because another group of people has said that across the
The
world.
world, yeah. It's very interesting. It's awesome to see where different cultures that aren't necessarily connected hold very similar mythical creatures. For example, the dragon. We've got the dragon in European mythology. We've got the dragon in Chinese mythology, Hinduism, Persian mythology. All these different cultures seem to have this very similar creature.
Yeah, in esoteric knowledge, the dragon symbolizes the lower self, the animal
Mm.
self.
Wow. Wow, that's interesting.
Very interesting. And when you hear the stories about him, um, it's usually this this knight who is of pure essence defeating this dragon. If you
Defeating
look at
dragon, yeah.
Saint George or Saint Margerius, I forget the one where it shows the knight and he has the halo around him and he's killing the dragon. This is also like a symbolism kind of thing of you have to destroy your lower self, like elevate yourself to a higher degree of
Wow.
consciousness. It's really interesting, also like the symbols that come about from it.
Right. Are there any sort of mythical creatures within your community in America that are taught about, perhaps passed down in amongst the European communities or anything like that?
Yeah, Bigfoot obviously is one
Bigfoot, of
over
course,
here
yeah.
in the States and Canada. We have what would be the equivalent of the oh my gosh, his name is what's that Jeepers Creepers is based off a actual mythological. Would you mind looking that up if you don't mind? We have one of those. We also have like little things like the Bat Boy.
The bad
It's
boy.
yeah, it's so dude, it's so American. Like it's not even cool with the rest of the mythological creatures. You got like the Sphinx and these like people like these creatures with the griffin and other parts of the world, and then we have like Bat Boy. He lives in a
What
basement
is
in
bad boys?
Queens.
What does he look like?
Like a bat. That's all it is. And
Like
he
a
lives in
bat.
some basement somewhere on the East Coast. And it was in these like magazines that talk about like BS kind of things. And they just did it
Mm.
on a front page thing just to sell magazines and stuff.
So it's a very recent thing.
No, this was like years ago. I think he's
Oh,
died out.
right.
What about you? In specifically in Australia and back home in Pakistan or back where your family comes from?
In Australia, because I'm okay, so how Australia works is that 80% of the population lives on the coastlines, which you've probably seen in the on the internet or whatever. So we've got Sydney, we've got Melbourne, but we've got like 20% of the population spread across inland Australia, and I'm
Wow.
unfortunately I'm in that 20% minority on that very rural-ish place. But the cool part of that was when I was growing up in this quiet town, there's a big indigenous population, and a lot of my early friends were indigenous, and so I'd go with them and sit in the and listen to the elders talk about the stories, right? And two of the stories that we often got told about was one, the bunyip. Now, the bunyip in Australia is like this large water spirit type thing, or big thing. It is, in some stories, it's said to eat humans. In some stories, it's said to be peaceful. But that was a big story. And there's another one of the rainbow serpent. So the
Oh,
rainbow, how the indigenous people would explain the rainbow was that the rainbow serpent would go from pond to pond, and if you follow the pond, and if you follow where the rainbow serpent is ending, you would find water.
very interesting.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And another one was like the Yaramaya, which is a vampire-like creature, a small gremlin that sits in the trees and jumps down and attacks people.
Oh, that reminded me. We have skinwalkers in the Native American community here.
I've heard about those. I've heard about those. Yeah.
That is probably the most terrifying storytelling I've heard from real Native Americans. I've heard of this story, and it's yeah, I don't know what that could be either, man. Like I don't know. It's very interesting. They take the shape of like sometimes animals, sometimes people, and you'll see them running in the distance, and then they just change shapes. But also, that's also another
Wow.
thing um, that's common in other parts of the world. Shapeshifters. That's also
Yes.
yeah. Or
For
have you
example,
heard of? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, for example, in the Middle East, the big shapeshifter is the ghoul, right? A ghoul, after devouring the body of a corpse, I'm pretty sure it can take form in whatever body it devoured.
Oh, I don't know about this. That's
Right.
interesting.
Yeah, I think those are
There's
quite popular.
yeah, there is the doppelganger, and I've actually
The
had
doppelganger, yeah.
that was a recurring nightmare for me for a
Oh,
while.
for real?
Can I tell you about it?
Absolutely.
So, I would be with one of my parents in a certain room
Mm.
of the house, and I'd go downstairs and I'd see my parent again. I'm like, wait a minute, I was just talking with you upstairs, and I knew immediately that wasn't my mom. And I would
Oh,
have this,
God.
they would have this look on their face, and I would wake up like in a sweat, man. Oh my gosh, it was a common nightmare. I haven't had it in a while though, so I don't know
Oh,
what that
geez.
symbolizes either, what that means.
Man, that reminds me of Coraline. Have you seen the movie Coraline?
No.
You haven't seen Coraline? It was one of those animated films about that girl who climbed through her one of the I think it was a basement or something and enter her house from another angle, and it would be like a her family, and that'd be amazing, but they all have buttons on their eyes.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's an interesting movie.
Do you like scary movies?
Um, I do. I do enjoy them. It just depends on how well it's written, I guess. Right now, I'm watching the second season of The Haunting of Hill House. Have you
Okay.
seen The Haunting? Have you seen The Haunting of Hill House?
I haven't. I heard good things about
I
it.
recommend that one.
Yes. I definitely recommend my two favorite scary films, Insidious Part 1 and Part 2.
I've never seen them. I've heard about them.
My man, get ready. I Oh man, it's so well directed and well written, and part one and part two come together so well. Also, The Conjuring 1 and The Conjuring 2, absolutely frightening. Definitely recommend those as well.
Yeah, I've seen those. Awesome.
Yeah. Oh, another recurring nightmare I've had which I'll share this on air right now. It's so funny. My producer Peyton, he can't hear anything that you say. I can only hear it, so I sound like a total crazy person to him right now.
All right, no worries.
So, a recurring nightmare with a witch that would come to destroy my family, in my
Oh
old
wow.
yeah, in an old house that I had some creepy things happen in. That we would hear footsteps while we were downstairs. Had some really bad moments in that house in terms of like freaky things happening. My last dream with her, I got tired and I was sick and tired of her scaring me, and I was in the dream, and I put my hands out, and this white light came out of my hands, and I was
Oh,
destroying her, and that was the last dream I had of her.
that sounds very cinematic. That
Very
is awesome.
cinematic. I was
Yeah.
praying. I was praying for God for help too in the moment too,
Mm,
and I was like, "Oh
that's
man, it
awesome.
was so intense." What about in Pakistan? Do you guys have anything specifically where the area you're from?
In Pakistan there's a ton because much of the communities in Pakistan are still quite rural, right? They're living in villages. What happens in villages is stories are told over and over again from across and they're shared across. One very big one when I was a kid in Pakistan, when I was living in Pakistan, perhaps I was around 5 or 6. It was, and this one scared me a lot. Was the one of the Churel. Now, the Churel is a story of a female spirit, I guess. That would, I guess she's like a witch type spirit. And this story is told from the very west of Pakistan all the way up to Bangladesh, perhaps to South India. Um, and it's of a spirit that lives in trees at night. So if you are in the forest at night and you see a woman, probably going to die.
Whoa,
She's it's like a very evil entity.
whoa.
Yeah, and plenty of stories told about her.
What does she do anything, or if you just see this, if you see a chick in the woods at night, you're gonna die?
I think it's like from what I've been told, she just lures people, I guess.
Ah,
So I think for one story was like she would take the form of a beautiful woman, she will lure men and then kill them. Other stories is she would just appear and I guess kill people.
that's classic. Beautiful woman
Right,
luring someone to their doom.
absolutely. There's a few stories across the world that are very similar to that as well, which I found quite interesting. I think there was one based in Brazil or perhaps somewhere in Latin America as well.
Yeah.
Of a woman that would, of a spirit that would take the form of a beautiful woman and lure people, make love to them, and then kill them.
Yeah, what are they called? They oh my god, succubus, a succubi. Have you heard of them?
Oh, I can't remember the name of them.
Yeah, but I think a succubus is a female spirit that has sex with someone while they sleep, and like
Oh, wow.
yeah, and it's I think it was from England in that area. They talked about it. I watched this show called Ghost Adventures, and
Mm.
it's more for entertainment purposes at this point. But it helps me fall asleep for some reason. I like watching scary things before bed. That's how I fall asleep.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm a weirdo. And and yeah, they talked about it, and I was like, oh, that's interesting. That's crazy. Again, common themes all over the world.
I think
Did,
another one from that part of the world is the banshee, right? You'd hear the woman scream, and something terrible is about to happen.
yeah, but you know what's interesting? Have you ever heard a fox at night?
They sound like children, don't they? Or female, or women, or children. It's very
Yeah,
scary. Yeah.
they're kind of in the same realm of coyotes at night because
Mm.
they sometimes sound like, whoa, was that a person screaming? It's like
Yeah.
weird sound. So I'm always thinking like maybe that is just somebody making up a
Have
story.
you experienced that yourself? Have you heard them at night?
Yeah, I've heard
Like
coyotes
fox.
at night. Yeah.
Right. We don't really have anything like that here. We do have foxes, but they're very rare. So we don't really get to hear. What I've heard of this is just through the media and online sources. So I haven't actually experienced it myself. We do have dingoes here. However, dingoes create that howling sound, so we don't really have that supernatural
Mm.
essence going on.
Do you guys have a problem with feral cats over there still?
Um, I think that's more. They have put restrictions on the cats because they were killing native wildlife.
Yeah.
You can't, some areas you can't let them out. But yeah, I don't think it's as talked about now as it was previously. So perhaps it's not as big of an issue anymore.
Okay. Yeah, I remember there was some people up in arms about that.
Yeah.
People killing cats. Americans were like, "Don't kill cats," and it's like, well, it's a little bit more complicated than that, person. Okay.
We used to have annual killings of kangaroos because in my city they populate the area so fast. There's like thousands and thousands and thousands like in one spot, and you'd just be hitting them at night. So they do this thing where they annually kill like hundreds,
Wow.
shoot them, which is crazy. Yeah.
Is their meat good?
Is their meat good? I haven't tried it. I've heard it's very chewy, but I
Okay.
haven't tried it myself.
Gotcha. Are you vegetarian?
No, I'm not. I'm not.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but just haven't. It's not as common as people assume it to be.
Oh, okay. Again, I'm
Yeah.
sorry. See, I don't know. This is why we're having this
Yeah,
conversation. I'm glad we're.
exactly, exactly.
Yeah, man. It's so because I think it's so important for people to travel. And that's why,
Sure.
circling back on why I think it's awesome that you reconnect with where your family comes from. When I went back to Syria and I saw how they got their water, and not to waste the water, like turn off the water, turn on the water. And I was like, oh, why is that? Doesn't water just come? No, we have to fill it up when a truck comes by with this big container on the roof.
Mm.
And then when I
Everything's
saw
very limited.
and when I saw how to use the toilet over there, I remember, dude, this is a true story. My mom walked me into the bathroom and it was a hole in the ground, okay? Old
Yeah,
school.
absolutely.
And I looked at it.
Squat toilets, right?
Yeah, with the hose right next to it, and that they don't
Mm.
use toilet paper. And I looked at her and I was like, I'll hold it. And she goes, we're not going back to America for like 2 months. You're going to hold it? And I go, yeah. I was really
Oh
young.
my God.
I gave it
Yeah,
about a day or two before I was like, I can't. And I had to learn. So
absolutely.
culture shock is super important as well.
Right. Yeah. It's a learning experience. To be honest, every
Yes.
time you hit culture shock, you're put in a situation where you've got to adapt quickly.
Right. I think the benefits from it, you appreciate what you have, appreciate the things that make your life more comfortable, and also
Mm.
you start communicating with people who have totally different lives than you. You start seeing the differences, but also more importantly, you're like, oh wow, I have much more in common with these people than I thought
Mm.
I did. That's
Absolutely.
that's the bridge maker right there. And I really
Absolutely.
wish more people did that. And also just experiencing another person's culture or the way they live is so tremendously valuable in creating a more positive experience for your life in the future and for future generations.
Absolutely, man. I think we should learn from each other, learn from different places across the world to develop ourselves.
Absolutely, absolutely, man. How are you on time? I don't wanna make you press for
I'm
time.
I'm good for now. Just let
Okay.
me know when you're all good with the session, and then I'll be happy.
Yeah, of course. I saw one of your TikTok videos of you traveling in the desert, and you had this cool
Yeah.
cape on. Is that in Australia or Pakistan?
That is here in Australia, right outside my town. We have a huge, huge lake that was once a lake, but over years it dried up, and it's created this very vast, barren landscape, super flat, and with surrounded by these hills and mountains.
How'd you get that shot?
Oh, we've got a drone. Just fly around my drone, and yeah, I was just walking. Mate was flying around behind me. Yeah, we got that awesome shot.
Who was flying behind you?
My friend
Oh,
was
okay.
the drone pilot
Oh,
in
gotcha,
the
gotcha. Oh,
situation.
dude, it looked like something out of Star Wars. It was really cool.
Absolutely. I think a lot of Star Wars is based off both deserty places like Australia and South Asia and the Middle East. So when we wear things from these cultures and walk along places in these areas, we can create those shots.
Yeah. Where in the world would you like to travel to?
I want to go to Japan, man. I want to go to Japan very badly. I was meant to go this year. Unfortunately, I couldn't because of COVID. But yeah, it'd be an awesome experience. I just want to experience an East Asian culture one more time.
Yeah. Well,
What about
I
yourself? Is there
uh
anywhere in particular you want to go?
back to Japan. I went to Japan last year.
Oh, you went to Japan. How was that?
Dude, it was my most favorite place to visit on earth.
Really?
And I've
Whereabouts did
been
you go?
I stayed in Tokyo for a bit, and then I went to
Right.
Kyoto and then Nara and I went with two of my best friends, and we went there with the intention of not only to travel and have fun, but we wanted to learn from master craftsmen and better ourselves as actors and artists. And so we
Right.
opened ourselves up mentally and spiritually at certain points to having that journey. And I'm telling you, man, it was so magical. It was like the whole trip was just opened up to us in terms of we would plan certain things out and we would do those things, but then other things would just be, oh, wow, we got perfect timing to go to this place. Let's do it. Oh, my gosh, we
Right.
experienced this amazing thing. And that would lead us somewhere else, somewhere else, somewhere else. Dude, it was a blast. And I can't recommend it enough. We actually did a 3-hour podcast on it on my podcast. So I
That's awesome.
highly
I'm gonna
recommend
check
it.
it out.
Yeah,
Gonna
dude.
check it out, man. Yeah, for sure. One day I hope to visit as well, man.
Yeah. The people over there, the culture is something I just love, man. There's a
Incredibly
lot of
different to the
respect.
West in
What's
terms of
that?
cultural norms. Incredibly different to the West in terms of cultural norms.
Very,
Right. Very right.
very. There is a lot of courtesy to your fellow, citizen and the people that live around you. People are very aware of that. That is
Mm.
lacking. I can't speak for Australia, but I'll speak for here. It's almost non-existent here at
Definitely
times,
lacking here as well, man. I think it's just a common thing amongst Western countries.
which is so interesting to me because in England it's not like that.
Oh, really? I
Yeah, in
haven't been to
London,
England yet.
yeah, London it wasn't like that. I got to study abroad there for a while, and in Scotland it's not like that.
Oh,
So,
wow.
and I'm like, well, where is that disconnect happening? How is that disconnect happening?
Mm.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Because
it's quite
when I think
interesting.
of the origin of Western cultures or Western, yeah, I guess Western culture is, England kind of colonizing everything with France. Parts of Spain did that as well, but mostly England, I feel like. Am I speaking out of place here? You're the history buff. I'm just an actor.
No, for sure. England did a big portion of colonialism.
Yeah. I'm not hating on anybody in England, anybody listening right now. We're just talking. I feel like I always have to preface that so I don't get canceled.
That's so good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
man.
I think that portion of history was very interesting. England, Spain, even Japan colonizing
True.
countries quite recently. Yeah, and relatively recently.
Yeah. I think it's important not to romanticize any type of nation or culture as being this perfect, non wrongdoing group of people.
You know what's interesting? I think it was perhaps only 40 years before Japan became a huge power and started colonizing and the war started, that the British had written about the Japanese people being too culturally weak, too culturally nice to ever do anything threatening or cause some sort of international threat. And only what, perhaps 40 or 50 years later, the wars happened.
Whoa. Man. I wonder,
Yeah.
I don't know much about Japanese history and everything. I wonder what triggered that.
Mm, I think it's just natural for any state. It's whatever state's given the opportunity to expand and acquire more, they'll take it.
Mm.
And
Mm.
Japan was just in that position. I think yeah, it happens till this day.
That's a that's a very human instinct,
Mm, it is.
and it's helpful in certain ways, but in other ways it's extremely detrimental.
Mm, for sure. I think it has a lot to do with security. I think people want to. I think countries at least want to create enough security for them to never feel a threat. And the best way to do that is by expanding and by taking over others that
Mm.
may cause a threat and by weakening others that may cause a threat.
Yeah. Well, I hope, man, whenever you get your master's and you start working in government, that you are part of this positive change, not only in Australia
Hopefully,
but
if
in the
that's what I
world,
go
man.
for, yeah,
That's very
absolutely.
that's a very admirable path, and um, yeah, man, I get overwhelmed with even thinking about like if I ever wanted to do that, I'd be like, the system seems corrupt, but there's always hope. I don't want to be like that kind of negative thinking.
For sure. What's your path? What are you pursuing at this point in your life?
Well, I came out to LA about a little over 10 years ago to become a professional TV and film actor, and it's been working out great, thankfully. And
Awesome.
it wasn't just to be that. I really wanted to take care of my mom and dad financially in a positive way and make sure that they retire and that they don't have to worry about anything because they came over here for a better life for me, and my brothers were born here, and I just want to make sure I honor them in that way and make sure that they get taken care of, and that's what I'm currently doing and what I hope I can continue to do, and at the same time I want to be the best actor ever.
For sure. Man. Well, good luck to that, man. Awesome.
Thanks,
I'm
man.
keen to see you on the big screen more. Keen to see you.
Appreciate it.
For sure.
Well, listen, this has been absolutely fun, and I would love to do it again in person the next time you're ever in California or LA.
Absolutely.
You're welcome back, brother. I really appreciate you, and keep
Thank
making
you.
those awesome videos.
Thank you for watching my stuff, and if you're ever in Australia, let me know.
I will. What part do you want to say on air or?
Absolutely. I live in a place called Canberra. Not many people have heard of it, but it is the capital city.
Okay.
I guess it's like the Washington, D.C.
Oh,
Not
see,
as-
I feel like an idiot still. I never even knew that. I thought Sydney was the capital of Australia.
Everybody does. Everybody does. It's the only one that makes it out into the media abroad.
Hey man, listen, I'm just an actor, okay? They just tell me, they give me lines and I just say them. That's my whole spiel, okay? I just say them like I believe it, and I don't know anything. That's why I listen to smart people like you, and that's where I get my information from. All right, man. Well, if people want to follow you on Instagram or TikTok, where are you at?
All my social medias are named under the same name, which is Paharikawa.
Awesome. And your podcast, if they want to check it out, what's it called?
Same thing. It's just called under my name, Paharikawa. The first one was just about aliens. That's that.
Yeah. Awesome, man. Cool. Well, I'll definitely hit you up and let you know when this airs, and I'll let you know when to post it and everything. But yeah, thanks again, brother. Have an awesome day.
Thank you so much for having me, bro.
Okay. Take care, man. Later.
All right, see you, man. Later.